Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. This is Will Cooper with Infowise. I'm the Infowise Training Coordinator, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about PowerApps and SharePoint and how we can build a solution that serves both our in-office users who are using their desktop and at the same time accommodate by setting up a mobile app using the new Microsoft PowerApps platform. So before we jump into the presentation, just to give you a little bit of background, I am a SharePoint developer and consultant, and I use Infowise related tools quite a lot, really for all the various customers that I work with in building SharePoint solutions. So in our presentation today, I'm going to show you how you can take advantage of PowerApps and also Infowise Ultimate Forms to build out a comprehensive solution that can serve both those mobile users and also your regular office workers who are logging in through the browser on their desktop computer. Okay, so we're doing something a little bit different today. Typically, we build a demo in a kind of a sandbox environment to try to demonstrate a concept. We're lucky. I have a customer, Lewis Systems in Greensboro, North Carolina, who volunteered and allowed me that I could share some aspects of their business solution. So this is a real-world solution that will demonstrate kind of a pattern of how you could build out a solution for your organization to take advantage of some of the things that I'm talking about. So thank you very much to Lewis Systems for that. So the first thing I want to do is kind of show you a little bit about this existing solution. Lewis Systems is a service business, and they work with customers that have air compressor units. And typically this is in the manufacturing industry, although they're used in a variety of different applications. And in their business, they make many calls on site to their customers to work on that equipment, replace it, upgrade it, and make sure that it's running for them. So in terms of the data model, what we have is some SharePoint lists to track customers who may have one or many locations for that business. And then each location has individual units which are being worked on. And then we've got work orders, which is the actual service ticket, which describes in detail the work that's executed at a particular site visit. So that's kind of the key list as it relates to what we're tracking in this system in regard to customer work. So I'm just going to jump to that work orders list, and I'm just going to kind of start by showing you that desktop experience. Okay, so I've got a dummy ticket set up here, which I'm going to go into, and the first thing I want you to notice is that this really is not the standard out-of-the-box SharePoint form. Usually you see that long scrolling vertical list of fields. In the past, of course, we could use something like info path, but that's been deprecated and will never update since the previous version, and that is part of the reason why Microsoft is now emphasizing and doing a lot of things related to PowerApps. However, PowerApps is really a development environment that is geared towards developers, in my experience, and it's about creating a mobile experience for users. What we have with Infowise is really an easy, simple to use way to build those custom forms quickly, and I do not need to be a developer to set that up. This is our service ticket. So the idea is you work through here, you pick your customer and location, contact info. I'm putting in all that detail about the work that's being executed on site. So this is a digital version, if you will, of what you might have on a carbon ticket. So what we're demonstrating today, that is actually what we're seeking to eliminate. is these carbon tickets, because there's some double work here, right? You've got your service technician, they're on site and they have to fill that in by hand. They tear that off, and then you've got somebody else who's got to take that ticket back in the office and retype that in again. It's inefficient, right? Especially when you consider that over the course of time, there's thousands of service calls. So anything we can do to make that more efficient, that's going to be really important. So that's kind of the SharePoint experience. I did want to show you how that's set up with Infowise. So this is an app for SharePoint Online. It's something you can try out for free. At the end of our demonstration, I'll show you. But basically, it unlocks a whole suite of different tools and additional things that you can do in SharePoint that otherwise don't exist. And one of those things, of course, is the form layout. So here's how I set up those tabs. Really simple to do. I just type in the names of those sections, and these are the tabs that you just saw, and then I just pick the fields that I want to have, and then I can just reorder them as I need to, and make adjustments very quickly and directly in the SharePoint interface. And there's lots of other options I can do. So I can do all kinds of things to kind of change the look of that form however I may want to do that. I could have a multi-column layout. You might have noticed at the top I had a customized header that had some of the detail information, and then I've got several different themes that I could pick from just to give a different look to that form. So right out of the box, I have a lot of simple options just to change the layout and look and the feel of that form. And then layered in with that, with the Infowise, we have actions, which is something you might think of as a front end to what you would otherwise have to do in SharePoint workflow. I'm not sure how many of you have experience in SharePoint workflow, but it is a very cumbersome and painful experience to work with, even if you're a SharePoint developer. These actions I can set up to do a long list of different things in the SharePoint environment, and even outside of the SharePoint environment, just by doing some simple configuration. Okay, so that's some of the things that we have going on in the desktop environment. And of course, we want to talk about PowerApps. So let's jump over that, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what we're doing there compared to the desktop experience. Okay, so here I am in the PowerApps platform. You can tell I can just log in through my browser. What's great is this is included in Office 365. You don't have to pay any additional licensing fees or anything like that. It's automatically available to you. And whenever you want, you can start making apps and make them available to any of your users in your environment at any time. So it's great that this is provided to you, with no additional costs attached to it. I will say there is a learning curve in PowerApps. Unlike some of the customizations and things that I can do in SharePoint Online with Ultimate Forms, there's a lot to learn. This is an intricate process, and when you're working on the forms and laying them out, there's a lot of intricacies in terms of the syntax in the code and how to get the forms to work the way you want. Just letting you know there's a process to that. I did want to recommend a particular site, IW Mentor. This is where I did my initial PowerApps training, and the person who leads those training, Laura Rogers, does a fantastic job with that. So for those of you who have not yet built anything with PowerApps, and that's something you want to get into, I very strongly recommend that. So I just wanted to mention that to you. Also, of course, Microsoft has a lot of good information, technical information, and even walkthroughs which you can use. But I would recommend both of those things as you're cutting your teeth and trying to work with that. Okay, so PowerApps works on Android phones, iPhones. It can work on tablets. It really works on everything, and it's going to be the same experience. And I can even launch it from the browser. So as you're working on your Power App, you can just look in the browser. And it does exactly the same thing, which is nice. I don't have to sit there with my phone next to me while I'm building this to see what's going to happen. I can just start it up like I just did, and I can kind of click around and pretty quickly figure out how things are going to work. So if you can imagine, this is what the service technician sees when they're holding up their tablet or phone and they're in the back of the warehouse of their customer and they need to close out the job. Okay, they got to find the customer name. So it's a hierarchical data structure. They got to drill down to get where they need to go. Okay, so if you remember, my business here is WWC. So I'm typing that in. They might have the account number. If they have that, they can type that too. So notice my search box works in a dual mode, if you will. On my browser, everything looks giant, and there's two reasons. One, I have it zoomed in for a demonstration. The other is, imagine this is your phone. You really need big buttons, big labels. You're trying to make it easy, clear, simple, as painless as possible for that mobile user. Here's my location. This business just has one location, and that's going to take us to the location summary screen. And this is kind of a hub, if you will, for all the things that that service technician might need to do. Now, in contrast, if I tried to access this form using the SharePoint Online app or just in the browser on the phone, I'd be doing a lot of pinch zooming, and it would be a really painful, cumbersome experience. So maybe I could do it if I was really in a jam, but in no way would that be a feasible solution for the service technicians. We're trying to streamline and make it easy and avoid that kind of situation. Okay, so what are we looking at here? This is the record, same record that's in SharePoint. So both the mobile app and also the desktop application, they're connected to those SharePoint lists, and it's going to make real-time updates. It's connected through the internet. There's no caching of data or anything like that. You can cache data in an app. That's another topic. You can have a collection, but typically that isn't necessary. So I've got a list of work orders. These are in chronological order, most recent first. So this is what the service technician needs to see. I want to look at what happened on the last site visit, so I can just drill into that and take a look. So if I want to edit the work order, we'll just go in that. So just like in the desktop, I'm kind of making a tabbed interface. So we're trying to mimic what's going on there, but we really cannot use that interface that was in there because there's too much on the screen. That's fine when I have my giant screen and I'm sitting down at my computer in the office, but that is absolutely not going to work on a mobile phone. So that's why we can't just have a layout where it just works for both. That's just unrealistic, and it's really making compromises and not truly doing what we want to do. With PowerApps platform, everything I'm doing in the app, it is all about making that experience and the functionality serve that mobile user to get what they want and be able to make those adjustments without compromising the desktop application in any way. All right, let's make an update. Okay, I'm going to change work date. Let's go ahead and switch it to the 18th of May, and we'll just make that one update. I've got a giant disk icon. It wouldn't look giant when I'm on the phone, but showing you how this works. So that's making a callback directly into that SharePoint list. And if you notice, if I go back here, you're going to see the new date. See that? May 18th, that's the record I just updated. So that's kind of an aha moment. If I'm in the office or I'm in the field, that data is updating real time from both sources. So now you've got a situation where those service technicians can coordinate and work with those office users real time. That's a really powerful concept to me. Okay, so that was updating our form. And next I want to show, okay, let's say we got our form all filled out and our customer wants to get the receipt, right? If somebody comes and does work at your house, the plumber comes, what do? They kind of write up the work and then you sign it and they get a receipt, right? How nice would it be to do that real time? And how nice would it be if I could just click a simple button on there? That's what we want for the service deck. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, I'm going to click on Email PDF. And that's going to make a call into SharePoint. Says it was successful. Okay, that's good. Let's talk about what's going on. The PDF is going to be generated from the phone, right? The heavy lifting is going to happen on the SharePoint server and with the Infowise. So just bear in mind, your main application is in SharePoint. The Power App is giving you another interface into that. It's another way, another front end, if you will, to access that data. So what I'm going to do is kind of show you the action that's set up using Infowise for that. So this is cool because it was really easy to set up. This is the action that's triggered. It's called Email Work Order PDF. So I just have 4 tabs to fill out. General settings, I just put the name of it. It says on the edit form, and I have to put a condition. And what I made is this field in the list. It's simple yes/no field, and what we're looking for is when that changes to yes. In PowerApps, I wired that up so it would make an update to this record and just toggle that field to yes, and that's what's going to trigger the action. Okay, so in PowerApps, what I set up is the work order template. That's the template I created with Infowise, and I wanted to export to PDF, and then print target to email, and I wanted that to go to modify. That means the person who made the update. So in PowerApps, it knows that I am that user. So what's cool is it'll email the person who clicks that button automatically. I don't have to do anything special. They don't have to fill in an email address or anything like that. And that's everything I have to do with the action. And print templates. So this is something that doesn't exist in any way in SharePoint out of the box. If I go into print and export, that's where I created a print template for this, and that's what was referenced from the action. So this is all in Infowise screens. Nothing complicated here. I just click on the section I want to get into, and I can go in and we'll just take a look and see how that's set up. So I kind of set up this table-based layout, and this is mimicking what was on that carbon ticket before. So that's the template. I basically map out the fields and say where those are going to show up, that kind of thing. Pretty easy to tweak. I can adjust borders and colors and things like that. And that's how the print templates work. Okay, so let me show you a little bit about what comes in the email. All right, so hold on one second. Okay, so this is what kind of came in the email. So this automatically goes out. They get this to their phone. So what are they going to do then? Probably they could forward it to their customer, but they've also got it on their phone. So now they've got that real time. They don't have to do carbon tickets or anything like that. So we're using PowerApps in conjunction with the application in the SharePoint environment. Basically to have those two things coordinate together. So really kind of a cool piece of functionality, if you will. Whoops, I didn't have my screen share on. Sorry about that. Okay, there's the PDF output. So that's what the email is going to look like. Okay, 1 second, let me get out the email. All right. Let me get back to what I'm doing. Okay, so PowerApps. Okay, so that's in the browser, and when you're developing, that's what you're going to use to kind of test things out as you're building things up incrementally. So in terms of the layout and everything, it's very precise. I have very specific control over everything. Almost like if I was in Visual Studio or like that and I was laying out a form, I can really get things to look precisely the way I want. As a developer, that's a very good thing. Your business may have very specific requirements about how things are supposed to work, but of course it takes a lot of time to set that up. So it's kind of a good and a bad thing at the same time. But as I say, to me, building the mobile app is very much a developer-related activity. This is something that's going to require an investment of time and some ramping up to really build up some skill and do a good job to build the mobile app. It's really a great value for the business, and I have a lot of confidence that Microsoft is going to continue to grow this platform, make improvements, and we will see it for many, many years to come. So I'm really passionate. I really enjoy working in PowerApps and layering that on top of SharePoint Online. But just want to make sure that people have an understanding of how it fits into the picture. So in terms of building custom forms, really PowerApps is not going to be a reasonable solution to do your desktop experience, in my experience. You really want to have both. You want to build your SharePoint tool first, and then PowerApps is something you can layer on top of that to finish things off and have a true comprehensive solution to serve both kinds of interfaces. Okay, so let me jump back to SharePoint environment. Let me talk to you a little bit about Infowise. I'd like to do that. So Infowise Ultimate Forms works both for on-premise SharePoint and for SharePoint Online. Of course, the focus for our presentation today was related to SharePoint Online and PowerApps. And what's nice is you can download this right now. It's very simple. If you click on that download a trial, it'll walk you through a few steps, and you can have this up and running in your Office 365 tenant very quickly, or for on-prem, you can download the installer package for that. You can get the full feature product doing that. You've got it for 30 days. Just really simple to do, and that's a great way to kind of evaluate some of the things that come in that tool set. The other thing, if you still really have some questions and you just feel like you want to talk to somebody one-on-one, we spend a lot of time working and talking directly with SharePoint customers to help them understand, maybe based on their business challenge, how it is that they would use the Ultimate Forms package, how it works, and maybe answer some more specific questions. So just click on the Request a Demo if you want to do that. One thing I just want to mention is we have unlimited support with the product license, so that's really good. So you've got backup. If you run into any roadblocks or problems with the product at all, we're always going to help you with that. That's just included with the product. Training is a really important part of working with Infowise, just like with PowerApps. We do provide a Kickstart training included with the product. You get that automatically for free when you get Ultimate Forms, either for online or on-premise. That's a 2-hour training. And we do have more extensive training available to you. So if you want a dedicated web-based training for your organization, you can learn all about those different training packages. So you've got a really good path for success when you're ramping up and really trying to fully take advantage of the product. Outside of that, we have a long listing of tutorials on how to use all the various components of Infowise tools. Includes lots of screenshots and YouTube videos and things like that that show you in depth kind of walkthroughs, so you can really start to get a grip on how everything works and make sure you're taking advantage of all those tools. Additional to this webinar, we've got lots of different kind of webinars demonstrating a wide variety of different kinds of business solutions built with Ultimate Forms. So I hope you will check that out if you're curious to see more examples. We really try to support our customers in terms of feature updates and letting them know what's going on. And that's one thing that's awesome with these tools, is that it really is constantly improving. That's something I appreciate quite a lot about the product. So I did want to mention I will be at a couple of SharePoint related events in the future. In August, I'm going to be at SharePoint Saturday in Charlotte, North Carolina. So anybody planning to be at that event, I'd be very happy to talk to you face to face. The other one is Ignite. We've got the big Microsoft Ignite conference coming up in Orlando in September. I will be down there on the Wednesday of that conference. So if you're planning to be at either of those two events, I'd be very happy to talk to you about SharePoint or Infowise or anything related to that. Just want to mention that to you. So as far as follow-ups, you may have additional questions. Again, I mentioned the demo. That's a good way to get a conversation going with us. We can schedule a web meeting with you to answer questions. If you just want to email questions, you can send those to sales@infowisesolutions.com. You can email me directly. That's willc@infowisesolutions.com. That's pretty much everything I want to demonstrate in this. There's a lot of ground to cover in terms of kind of showing that solution. If you have more specific technical questions about how this solution was built in PowerApps and then in SharePoint Online, I'm very happy to have a conversation or answer questions on that. But really want to just kind of show this concept a little bit to you today. So thank you very much for your time. We appreciate you guys attending the presentation. And I hope that gives you a little bit of an idea how you might approach using PowerApps along with tools that you're going to build in your SharePoint Online environment. Thank you very much.